The stars above the bridge of the Drakkar warship shimmered cold and distant, but none held the weight of what lay ahead. Karzul, huntmaster of the Karak Hunt Squadron, stood rigid, his 6 eyes scanning the tactical holoscreen. A dozen human worlds had been catalogued in the galactic annals. Weak, predictable, and easy prey. But this blue planet, Earth, was different. We've faced every apex predator. Karzul's voice rumbled deep in the war chamber. From the Azrath bloodhounds to the Tempest serpents of Voltar Prime. None survived a formal hunt. None. The Council of Drakkar Lords nodded in agreement. Their faces, carved and scarred by centuries of ritual battle, betrayed nothing. The Karak were the deadliest hunters in the galaxy, engineered to stalk, trap, and eliminate prey in any environment, against any foe. Theirs was a sacred duty and an unmatched reputation. Yet, Karzul tapped the flickering hologram of Earth. The sensors report unpredictable behavior. Adaptability. The humans evolve rapidly. It's unsettling. A murmured warning swept through the chamber, but the High Council dismissed it with a cold snarl. Adaptability is survival, Huntmaster. But we are evolution's apex. We do not fail. Karzul clenched his clawed fists. Confidence was their tradition, and their greatest weapon. The hunt would begin soon. Far below the ship, Earth spun silently, a vibrant orb cloaked in swirling clouds, oceans vast and forests dense. The Drakkar reconnaissance drones flickered invisible as they darted through the atmosphere, scanning cities and wildlands alike. 100 data streams flowed into the warship's core. Human technology, warfare tactics, social structures, all primitive but strangely effective. In Alaska's frozen wilderness, a lone figure moved with expert grace. Alina Ruiz adjusted the strap of her snow camo and checked the trail sensors she'd laid hours before. She wasn't just a ranger. She was a hunter, a woman who had learned to read the forest's whispers like a second language. And tonight, something washed her back. The first alien drop went unnoticed until it was almost too late. Karzul's squad dropped from the sky in sleek stealth pods, silent and cold as death itself. Their plasma blades hummed with lethal energy, their armor blending perfectly into the shadows. The Drakkar moved with predatory precision, stalking the frozen tree line where Alina tracked prey. But Alina's instincts screamed warning. The forest held a menace far beyond wolves or bears. She flipped a switch on her wrist device. With a low hiss, a net of razor wire sprung from the snow, bait for the hunters who thought themselves invisible. A hidden mine, camouflaged under snow and branches, primed and ready. The first Drakkar lunged through the trees, blade raised. The wire snagged his leg, and the mine detonated with a thunderous boom, sending snow and shrapnel flying. Alina didn't wait. She fired a shot from her high-powered rifle. The bolt found the wounded alien's shoulder, piercing armor thought impenetrable. The Drakkar howled in pain, a sound like metal tearing, and retreated into the night. Karzul's eyes narrowed. "Impossible," he muttered. "This prey fights back." The humans were unpredictable. They didn't run. They counterattacked. Alina disappeared into the snowstorm, dragging a bleeding Drakkar with her trap. She wasn't just surviving, she was hunting. Back on the warship, Karzul convened his officers. The screen showed more skirmishes, snipers in the African savannah, hackers in Tokyo disrupting alien comms, guerrilla ambushes in the Australian outback. "Everywhere we strike, humanity strikes back," Karzul said, voice low but growing colder. "They learn. They adapt. This is no ordinary hunt. We may have awakened something far more dangerous." His second-in-command, Zrathak, growled in frustration. "We've hunted lesser species to extinction. What makes these humans different?" Karzul's gaze turned hard. "Because these humans do not fear death, and they do not surrender." The piercing howl of the wind whipped across the Alaskan wilderness, carrying with it an icy chill that gnawed at exposed skin. Elena Ruiz pressed herself against the gnarled trunk of a pine tree, eyes sharp beneath the hood of her snow camo. Somewhere out there, the forest seemed unnaturally quiet. Lurked her hunters. The first alien drop had shattered every expectation. Instead of silent kills and easy victories, the Drakkar found themselves drawn into a war of shadows, traps, and bullets they had never anticipated. Elena adjusted her grip on the rifle, checking her surroundings with the steady calm of a seasoned hunter. Every step she took was calculated, every breath measured. She knew the hunter's arrogance. She could smell it in the frozen air. Then a shimmer flickered at the edge of her vision. A Drakkar, cloaked in stealth armor, emerged like a ghost from the snow-covered underbrush, its 6 eyes glowing faint red in the darkness. The plasma blade in its hand hummed with deadly intent. But Elena didn't panic. With a practiced flick, she tossed a device to the ground. A burst of brilliant light exploded, blinding the alien momentarily. Taking advantage, Elena sprinted behind a fallen log and pulled the trigger. Her bullet sang through the night, hitting the alien's armored shoulder. The Drakkar staggered, a hiss of pain escaping its throat. It dropped the plasma blade and lunged with razor-sharp claws. Elena barely dodged, rolling in the snow, then slammed her rifle butt into the alien's temple. The creature reeled, stunned. She scrambled to her feet, sprinting into the denser trees. But the hunt was far from over. Back on the Drakkar warship, Karzul's 6 eyes narrowed as the battlefield data streamed in. First kill attempt failed, he growled. They adapt quickly. We are not dealing with primitive prey. Across Earth's surface, other hunters faced similar resistance. In the sprawling savannas of Africa, a Maasai sniper had taken down 2 Drakkar with a single deadly shot from over a mile away. In Tokyo, a squad's attempt to call for reinforcements was thwarted by human hackers who disrupted their comms with a relentless cyber attack. In the Australian outback, a former SAS operative ambushed the hunters, turning their advanced weapons against them in a savage guerrilla war. "We are hunting ghosts," one alien lieutenant reported. "They vanish and strike without warning. They do not fear us." Karzul's claws tightened around the armrest of his command chair. "They fight with the fury of cornered beasts and the cunning of predators. This is not a hunt. It is war." Elena moved silently through the forest, weaving a web of traps and distractions. She knew the terrain better than the invaders, using the snow, the trees, and the bitter cold as weapons against the technologically superior hunters. Her comm crackled softly. A voice, low and steady, came through. "Elena status. Still alive," she replied with a dry laugh. "And they're bleeding." "Good. We're moving in. Reinforcements en route." The global response was swift and coordinated. Though governments publicly denied the alien incursion, Black Ops units, survivalists, and volunteers mobilized with lethal precision. Earth was no longer just a planet, it was a battleground. Meanwhile, deep in the heart of the Drakkar ship, Karzul summoned his officers. "Enough games," he snarled. "We end this hunt, tonight." The squad prepared for a final strike. Silent pods once again hurtling toward the surface. Their target, Elena Ruiz. But the humans had learned to anticipate the hunters' tactics. As the pods touched down under the cover of night, a hail of gunfire erupted. Hidden mortars exploded, shrouding the drop zone in fire and smoke. Drones buzzed overhead, illuminating the battlefield with blinding searchlights. The hunters fought with lethal efficiency, but chaos reigned. Elena darted through the carnage, signaling to nearby allies. Together, they pressed the attack, cutting down 2 more hunters before the survivors retreated. Karzul's voice echoed through the comm, cold and furious. "They fight back, at every turn. This prey does not yield. We must reconsider our tactics." The early morning sun cast long shadows over the sprawling African savanna. A lone figure crouched behind a rocky outcrop, her eyes steady and sharp as a hawk's. A sniper's rifle rested lightly against her shoulder, the barrel aimed miles away, where the sleek silhouette of a Drakkar hunter prowled. Amina Njenga, a former soldier turned tracker, exhaled slowly. She'd been waiting for this moment for hours. Her finger found the trigger. The bullet sped through the thin, dry air, its path invisible but lethal. It struck true, piercing the hunter's armored throat. The Drakkar collapsed, an unnatural guttural howl echoing across the plains. But this was only one battle in a global war. Thousands of miles away in Tokyo, the sky was a tapestry of neon and rain. Deep inside a cramped basement, a group of hackers surrounded glowing monitors. Their leader, Yuki Tanaka, typed furiously, eyes blazing with determination. "Communications are down," she announced. "Their network protocols can't handle this flood. We're locking out their drones and ships." Outside, orbital satellites suddenly flickered and sputtered, unable to relay commands to the hunters below. The alien warship's sensors swirled with confusion. "We're hitting their systems," Yuki said. "They don't expect it." Back on Earth's harsh Australian outback, the hunters found no refuge. Former SAS Commando James "Ghost" Harper stalked the deserts like a shadow. Using guerrilla tactics honed through decades of clandestine warfare, he turned the environment itself into a weapon. Traps rigged with explosives, ambush points in rocky canyons, and improvised EMP grenades disrupted the hunters' advanced tech. The Drakkar had never met prey like this. Creatures that turned every weakness into a weapon. "Every kill we make," Harper muttered into his calm, "they learn. But so do we." In the skies above Earth, the Drakkar warship trembled with growing unease. Karzul watched the reports pile in. 10 hunters deployed, 4 dead. The humans were not just surviving. They were adapting faster than any species had before. "The prey fights like a cornered beast," his second-in-command growled. "And it's getting smarter." Karzul's 6 eyes reflected a storm of fury and doubt. This is no longer a hunt. It is a war for survival. Meanwhile, Earth's governments scrambled to contain the truth. The United Nations Emergency Council convened behind closed doors. Most world leaders refused to acknowledge the alien threat publicly, fearing mass panic. But secret alliances formed quickly. Military forces sharing intel, scientists racing to reverse engineer captured alien tech, civilians rallying to defend their homes. Across continents, humanity's patchwork of resistance grew into a unified front. The humans were fighting back, not just for their survival, but for their very future. Deep in the Siberian tundra, Alina Ruse moved cautiously. Her latest traps had slowed the hunters, but she knew this was only the beginning. The creatures hunted her not out of necessity, but for sport. For centuries, they had never lost. She crouched behind a snow-laden boulder as a pair of hunters passed, their footsteps muffled in the fresh snow. Alina's breath froze in the air. Slowly, she drew an arrow, fitted it with a tip dipped in a homemade neurotoxin. A secret weapon born from desperation. Her shot was silent but deadly. The first hunter fell, twitching violently. The second spun, roaring with fury, but Alina was gone, already melting back into the forest's white embrace. Back aboard the warship, Karzul summoned the last surviving hunters to the command deck. "You have failed to contain the prey," he said, voice harsh and unforgiving. "But we will not falter. We will strike again, harder. Prepare for total war." As the hunters nodded, one looked uneasy. "Huntmaster, the humans have made alliances we cannot predict. They share knowledge, technology, even coordinate attacks." Karzul's gaze hardened. "Let them. We are patient. We will wear them down. And when they break, we will take what remains." The moon hung low over the ruins of an abandoned factory in Prague. Inside, a flickering holomap lit the faces of the newly formed human resistance, Project Minotaur. Soldiers, scientists, and hunters from every corner of Earth had gathered in secret, united by a single goal: to turn the tide against the invaders. Colonel Marcus Hyde stood at the center, his steel-gray eyes burning with determination. We can't beat them with firepower alone. They adapt too fast. We need to hit them where it hurts, in their command. A scientist named Dr. Lena Voss stepped forward, fingers flying across her tablet. "We've captured one," she said quietly. "Alive." The room fell silent. Deep underground, in a reinforced cell, a single Drakkar hunter sat chained but alert. Its 6 eyes scanned the cold walls, calculating escape routes even as it remained still. Karzul's prized warrior, captured by a covert human team, was the first of its kind to fall alive. Its presence was both a prize and a threat. Dr. Voss watched the creature closely. "It's unlike anything we've seen. Its biology, its technology. There's so much we don't understand." Hyde nodded grimly. "And yet it still thinks it can win. That arrogance will be its undoing." While Project Minotaur worked tirelessly to unlock secrets hidden in alien DNA and tech, whispers circulated among the Drakkar ranks. Some hunters spoke in hushed tones of betrayal, rumors of a shadow network within their own, aiding humans. Zrethak, Karzul's second-in-command, paced his quarters. "If there are traitors, we will find them. No prey should ever be so organized, so united." His anger was a blade, sharp and unforgiving. Across the globe, human resistance cells shared intel through underground networks and encrypted broadcasts. In Nairobi, Amin and Jenga led a squad of guerrillas through the dense city streets, moving silently like ghosts. "We're more than hunters now," she told her team. "We're a force they can't ignore." Nearby, Yuki Tanaka's hackers flooded the Drakkar's comm channels with false signals and virus attacks. "Confuse and conquer," she whispered, her fingers a blur on the keyboard. In the Australian outback, James Ghost Harper trained civilians in survival tactics, turning hunters into warriors. Meanwhile, Karzul's frustration deepened. The prey was evolving into something he hadn't anticipated. A species that fought not just with weapons, but with unity, intelligence, and hope. On the warship, he convened his council. "This hunt is no longer a game. It is a war of shadows. We must strike swiftly before they grow stronger." The council agreed. Plans were drawn to crush Project Minotaur and eliminate the human resistance in one devastating blow. But the humans had one advantage. They fought not just for survival, but for each other. The Lena Ruiz, scared but unbroken, coordinated with Hyde and the resistance across continents. Every successful strike, every captured hunter, fueled their resolve. Karzul's challenge was clear. He had underestimated humanity's will. The night before the planned assault on the human stronghold, a message came through to Karzul, unexpected and cryptic. "Prepare for ritual combat," it said. It was a challenge from Colonel Marcus Hyde. Karzul's eyes narrowed. Honor demanded a duel. But beneath his fury was something new, a flicker of respect. The planet's electromagnetic storms raged with unrelenting fury, scrambling communications and blinding sensors. On the Drakkar warship orbiting Earth, flickering alarms and erratic data feeds turned calm confidence into creeping dread. Karzul's 6 eyes tracked the chaos. "The storms interfere with our calls for backup. We are isolated," he growled. "Earth is becoming a death trap." Below, the hunters scrambled. Their advanced weapons flickered unpredictably. Plasma rifles misfired. Stealth cloaks shimmered and faded like ghosts caught in a spotlight. The familiar advantage of technology, the edge that made them apex predators, slipped away. The Lena Ruiz moved through the ruins of a shattered city, the cold biting through her layered gear. Once a bustling metropolis, it was now a labyrinth of collapsed buildings and icy wind tunnels, the perfect hunting ground for those who knew how to use it. Around her, resistance fighters laid intricate traps. Tripwires, mines, and improvised EMP charges turned the cityscape into a maze of death for the hunters. Alina paused at the edge of a broken bridge, eyes scanning for movement. From the shadows, a Drakkar warrior lunged, claws gleaming, teeth bared. She didn't hesitate. A flashbang rolled at the alien's feet. Disoriented, it staggered as Elena fired 3 rounds, each striking its armored chest. The hunter collapsed, twitching, but not dead. Her comm crackled. "Hide here. Status engaged," she replied. But the hunters are desperate. Across the world, the human resistance thrived in the chaos. Despite the storms, underground networks connected continents, sharing real-time intelligence and coordinating strikes. In a hidden bunker beneath the Sahara Desert, scientists hurriedly reverse-engineered alien tech, working feverishly to create weapons capable of piercing Drakkar armor. In the icy forests of Siberia, guerrilla units practiced brutal ambush tactics, exploiting every weakness the hunters revealed. But the hunters were not beaten yet. Karzul's voice was like thunder in the command chamber. "We strike back, with fire and fury." Pods launched in waves into the night, carrying squads hell-bent on annihilation. Yet every assault was met with fierce resistance. Humans fought not just for survival, but for vengeance and hope. And with every victory, they grew bolder. In the ruins near Moscow, Colonel Marcus Hyde led an elite unit in a brutal firefight. Bullets and plasma clashed, shattering stone and shattering bones. "We can't hold the bridge," one soldier shouted. Hyde shook his head. "No retreat. We make this our tomb if we must. But they will pay for every step." A desperate melee erupted, Hyde's hand-to-hand combat skills turning the tide. He struck fast, hard, each movement a testament to humanity's grit. Back on the warship, Karzul received word. More hunters down. The war was bleeding them dry. "They underestimate us," he snarled. "But this planet will be our grave." Suddenly, an urgent alert flashed. A human team had infiltrated the ship itself, stealing critical data and alien weapon prototypes. Karzul's rage boiled over. "Find them. Kill them all." The night was thick with smoke and ash, the ruins of a once great city now a battleground of desperation and fury. Elena Ruiz moved like a shadow, darting through broken streets, her breath ragged but steady. Around her, the resistance fighters held their ground, barricading choke points with whatever weapons they could find or make. The Drakkar were relentless. Their superior strength and technology made them deadly, but every human blow chipped away at their confidence. They had never faced prey that refused to run. "Contact." A young fighter's voice broke the tense silence. Elena ducked behind a crumbling wall as plasma bolts tore through the air, searing stone and earth. The hunters advanced in waves, organized, vicious, but the humans fought back with unyielding resolve. Miles above the war-torn landscape, the Drakkar warship quivered from distant explosions below. Karzul's fury was as fierce as ever. "We cannot hold the surface," he growled. "They'd bleed us dry." In a desperate gamble, he ordered a breach into Earth's orbital defense satellites, a complex web of human and alien tech that controlled much of the planet's communication and surveillance. "This is our last chance," Karzul snarled. "If we lose control of the skies, we lose everything." In the underground command center of Project Minotaur, Colonel Marcus Hyde and Dr. Lena Voss watched the satellite feeds flicker and fade. "They're trying to blind us," Voss said grimly. "But we're ready." Yuki Tanaka's hacker team unleashed a counterstrike, flooding the alien systems with viruses and false data. The battle for the orbit was as fierce and brutal as the one raging on Earth's surface. Back on the ground, Elena spotted movement at the edge of a shattered plaza. A squad of hunters advanced, their armor reflecting the flickering fires. With a swift motion, Elena raised a flare, signaling her team. "Ambush," she shouted. From hidden alcoves and ruined buildings, human fighters erupted like ghosts. Grenades, gunfire, and carefully laid traps turning the tide. One hunter fell, its plasma blade clattering on the stone. Another roared and charged, claws extended. But Elena was ready. She fired her pulse rifle, a blast of concentrated energy tearing through the alien's defenses. It collapsed, twitching. But the fight was far from over. Suddenly, A massive explosion shook the city. The ground trembled beneath their feet. Karzul's orbital strike was underway. Missiles streaked through the sky, striking with devastating force. Buildings crumbled, and firestorms engulfed entire blocks. "We need to fall back," a human commander yelled. Alina's jaw clenched. Retreat was a bitter pill, but survival was the only option. As the humans regrouped in underground tunnels, Hyde's voice cut through the comms. "We've held them longer than anyone predicted. But this is a war of attrition. We need a new strategy." Dr. Voss nodded. "The captured hunter has given us clues about their biology and tactics. We can exploit weaknesses if we act fast." Meanwhile, Karzul's council debated their next move. The hunt had become a war of attrition, and the humans refused to break. "Perhaps," Zrathak said quietly, "we have underestimated them." Karzul's gaze was fierce. "No, we have simply not been ruthless enough." But even as he spoke, a seed of doubt took root. In the shadows, Alina and Hyde plotted their next move. A daring plan to infiltrate the Drakkar warship itself and strike at the heart of the alien operation. "We hit their command center," Alina said, voice low but resolute. "Take out Karzul, and this war could end." Hyde nodded. "It's risky, but it's the only chance we have." The cold silence of space was broken only by the distant hum of the Drakkar warship's engines. Hovering like a dark leviathan over Earth's battered surface, it was a fortress of alien steel and shadow. Inside a hidden human shuttle, Alina Ruiz and Colonel Marcus Hyde braced for the most dangerous mission either had ever faced. "No turning back," Alina whispered, tightening her grip on the plasma cutter. "If we fail, Earth loses everything." Hyde nodded grimly. "If we succeed, we change the course of history." The shuttle slipped through the warship's outer defenses, cloaked in stealth tech scavenged and adapted from the hunters themselves. Sensors on the ship flickered as the human intruders bypassed security systems with a mix of cunning and desperation. They landed deep within the belly of the warship, in a labyrinth of corridors and alien glyphs glowing faintly in the dim light. Every step echoed like a heartbeat in the silence. "Stay close," Hyde whispered. "We're looking for the command center." The corridors twisted and turned, lined with sleek alien technology and the faint hum of power. Strange symbols adorned the walls, and occasionally a patrol of Drakkar hunters passed, their 6 eyes scanning for intruders. Alina's pulse quickened. One misstep, one alarm, and it would be over. Suddenly, alarms blared through the ship, red lights flooding the corridors. "They've spotted us," Hyde hissed. "Move." Hunters poured out from side passages, deadly silhouettes armed with plasma rifles and razor claws. The humans fought fiercely. Alina fired her pulse rifle, bolts of blue energy streaking through the air. Hyde's combat training shone as he took down hunters with brutal efficiency. "Keep pushing forward," Alina urged. They reached the command center, the vast chamber dominated by a holographic star map and the imposing figure of Karzul, towering and regal despite the chaos. Karzul's 6 eyes locked onto them with cold fury. "So the prey comes to hunt the hunter," he snarled. Alina raised her weapon. "This ends now." The battle was brutal and primal. Karzul's strength was overwhelming, his blows capable of crushing bone and steel alike. But the humans fought with desperation and cunning. Hyde fired a disruptor grenade, momentarily stunning the warlord. Alina seized the chance, driving the plasma cutter into a vulnerable joint in Karzul's armor. The alien roared in pain, staggering back. As Karzul fell to one knee, his expression twisted from rage to something resembling respect. "You are worthy," he growled. But before the humans could press the advantage, a squad of hunters swarmed into the chamber. The fight became a chaotic melee of blood, plasma, and shattered metal. In the confusion, Alina and Hyde activated a self-destruct sequence, a final gambit to cripple the warship. "Time to go," Hyde shouted. They raced through collapsing corridors as the ship shuddered violently. Explosions rocked the hull, and emergency sirens blared. Outside, the shuttle awaited. They burst into the cold vacuum of space just as the warship erupted in a fiery explosion, a blazing beacon against the blackness. Earth's people watched as the Hunter's fortress fell, a symbol of hope igniting across the battered planet. Back on Earth, Alina and Hyde were hailed as heroes, but both knew the war was far from over. Karzul's dying words echoed in their minds. "You have won this battle." But the hunt continues. The sky over Earth was clearer now, the smoke and fires of war slowly fading. Cities bore the scars of battle, shattered glass, crumbled buildings, and streets littered with debris. But amid the ruin, humanity stood proud, unbroken. Alina Ruiz and Colonel Marcus Hyde emerged from the bustling crowd at the United Nations headquarters, greeted by cheers and the hopeful eyes of millions worldwide. The fall of the Drakkar warship was not just a victory, it was a declaration. Inside the hall, global leaders gathered in cautious optimism. The threat of the Hunters had been real, brutal, and almost insurmountable. But the humans had fought back with everything they had, and more. Marcus addressed the assembly. "This victory is just the beginning. The galaxy is vast, and we are no longer alone. We must prepare for peace, or for the wars that may come." Lena Voss stepped forward, unveiling a device pulsing with energy. "Using technology salvaged from the Drakkar, we can advance our defenses and explore beyond our world." Across Earth, resistance groups disbanded and reformed into new alliances, military coalitions, scientific unions, and cultural exchanges. Humanity was no longer isolated, no longer the hunted. In Nairobi, Amin and Jenga trained a new generation of soldiers, warriors forged in the fires of alien war, but fighting for a brighter future. In Tokyo, Yuki Tanaka's network of hackers transformed into a global information grid, protecting Earth's secrets and sharing knowledge. But not all threats had vanished. Deep in the remnants of the warship's shattered core, a dormant signal pulsed faintly, a warning beacon, or perhaps a call for reinforcements. Hyde stared at the encrypted transmission, his jaw tight. Karzul's war was lost, but his hunt is far from over. Elena nodded. "They will come back. They always do." In the stars beyond, a new chapter was beginning. Humans were no longer prey. They were hunters now. And the galaxy would learn to fear them. As Earth healed, a quiet determination settled over its people. The war had tested their limits, but it had also revealed their true strength. In the darkest hour, humanity had risen. Together,